Patriotic comrades, can the government unilaterally create a mandatory requirement for every single adult living in Jamaica to have a digital ID card? Is it possible? Is it legal? Is it likely? All those things I will address quickly in this video. Because we see where Keir Starmer in England, the British Prime Minister, and remember we have the same exact thing out here in the form of NIDS. Yes, the same exact thing, the same exact digital ID system. One world government incoming. Well, that is if you, the everyday average Jamaican citizen, don't push back. So patriotic comrades, can the government unilaterally decide say the more just force this on everybody and we have to take it? We don't have no choice or not talking at the matter. The simple answer is no. It requires legislation. So we're gonna talk about England now. England are trying to pull off this digital ID since 2009, and it was basically rejected and blocked by the Conservatives in England. So when we see Keir Starmer come out and try, when he make the big speech and I say every adult, working adult in Britain have to go have a digital ID or else they can't work, I just chat him a chat. Cause the British people already rise up and start protests. Them even have a letter of petition where people are asked the MP to sign and me read a letter. The phone and me gonna hear what that letter they say. We need a letter like that in Jamaica. And you're gonna see the letter on the screen. So make we continue. Now, any such step like this for a mandatory ID would actually impose such a mandate on Jamaican citizens, each individual. A move like this would require new legislation or amending the current legislation where exists. So, what I say is, constitutionally, it would be illegal and unconstitutional for Prime Minister Andrew Holness try force NIDS on the Jamaican citizen. Remember the first time when Prime Minister Andrew Holness shook out with the NIDS, he lost in court because NIDS was basically too intrusive. It was infringing on the privacy of the Jamaican citizens. So it was imposing on your constitutional rights to privacy, and the judge did block it and reject it and turn it down in the courts. Patriotic comrades, let me drag the minds and memory of some of the people them. Remember that Chief Justice Brian Sykes said it was the unanimous decision of the court that the mandatory requirement of NIDS for persons to submit biometric information is indeed a violation of the right to privacy, which is stipulated by the Constitution. The Chief Justice said it was the court's decision for the law to be struck down in its entirety because those aspects which did not infringe on the constitutional rights of citizens were not enough to stand alone. The court action was brought by the People's National Party PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson on behalf of himself, his constituents in St. Andrew Southeastern, and the members of the PNP. Robinson contended that various sections of the Act are unconstitutional and operate as violations to the rights of the citizens of Jamaica. The legal team headed by Michael Hilton, QC, also includes Donna Scott Motley, Comrade Donna Scott Motley, Michael Vassiana, and Jennifer Housen. The team is instructed by the firm of Paulwell Fraser Binns. Title of the article is Supreme Court Rules NIDS Unconstitutional, Declares Law Null and Void. So you can go look it up for, jog on the memory sake. So you see, this is what I'm talking about. You see me? Your MP have to represent you, just like how Julian Robinson said, he is representing his constituents. and also himself, because him as an MP is still a citizen of Jamaica, that would fall subjected to this whole unconstitutional NIDS where the Holness administration did a push forward. So we can say Comrade Julian Robinson is doing his job and the right thing as the member of parliament that represents his constituents in St. Andrew South East. And then we see him come back now with the same NIDS again, print it and have it ready, you see me? And this initiative, the money did come from Canada to push this NIDS idea, this digital ID card. Yes, we get the money from Canada to do this. And remember, Canada is also a British colony, just like Jamaica. So as me say, you would need new legislation or amend current legislation in order to make this a requirement. But that no means so we safe. That no means say you are no Jamaican citizen is safe. And me go break down that further down in the video. So stay tuned. So you would need other statutory instrument and secondary legislation in order to enforce this being a mandatory requirement. For example, without your NIDS digital ID card, you can't travel on plane, you can't buy food, you can't vote in an election, you cannot have a bank account, you see me? Or if you have a bank account and you refuse to take the NIDS, then you can freeze your bank account with your money in there and you don't have no access to it unless you take the NIDS. So as me say, you will need secondary legislation to enforce it. And if you even attempt something like that, I go take a long time and it have to go through both houses of parliament. So it's going to have to go through the executive, which is the government, and then the opposition have to sign on it. You see me? Cause guess what? Holness can't just try push this and pass this on his own. You understand? He is just the executive. It have to pass through the legislature. So if he can pass through the legislature, which is parliament, then he in a problem. So yes, we see say him print a few and show off with them, and there was this press release around the launch of NIDS, and we see the chairman from the umbrella group of churches was there and him representing the church. I don't think he represent all church in Jamaica, cause not every church is under that umbrella group of churches, but he was there representing the church and him collect film ID. So we have to pay keen and close attention and be very wary of, anybody we are going to tell us, say, oh, you have to go take your digital ID, pastor or anybody, beware of them. The Bible warns about false prophets. So ultimately, the Holness administration in its present form cannot unilaterally decide, say, them are going to push this and force it on the people. And that's how it work. If he was a dictator, then that would be a whole different scenario, because as a dictator you don't need no opposition to oppose you and block you. You can do anything you want and pass anything you want. You see me? So when you look for everything in its entirety and everything come full circle, you see why Holness want to become a dictator with the whole new republic constitutional reform to set up a dictatorship with him as the perpetual prime minister, with him picking the puppet presidents. So me they have to tell you two things. Don't worry too much, because this is not likely to happen. But two, absolutely do please worry about it and tell your MP, say you are not on board with this digital ID, that you do not support this digital ID. So what we need is a cross-party letter opposing digital ID, where if any MP wants to sign, you see me, them know who to get in touch with to sign this cross-party letter. So me gonna read an example from a MP in England who has such a cross-party letter, and he might get other MPs in the British House of Parliament to sign it. And as me say, Jamaica needs a letter like this. The letter reads, Dear Prime Minister, we are writing to register our profound and passionate opposition to your report plans for a compulsory UK-wide digital identity scheme. Such a policy would represent an unprecedented level of state control over British citizens. This is a fundamental change to the relationship between the individual and the state. It's dangerous, intrusive, and deeply un-British. It risks building the foundations of a surveillance state, one that will inevitably expand in scope over time. We urge you to abandon these plans immediately. At the very least, you must commit to bringing any proposal before Parliament for full scrutiny and a free vote, and to fully consulting the public before attempting to impose such a drastic measure on a reluctant country. The British people do not want this, and the British people do not need this. Compulsory digital ID would mark a dangerous and permanent shift in the balance of power between government and governed. We will oppose it at every stage. Yours sincerely, and you see all of the MPs below the letter will actually sign the letter in opposing this compulsory digital ID with Keir Starmer in a UK I try push. You see me? Yeah, can you run out strong and wrong what you ain't about. If you're not techie, you're not going to be able to have no work. You see me? And them I use it under the guise of say it's to prevent illegal immigrants who are coming to the country. So them I use that as a pretext. You see me? So that's the context behind him say, oh, we need a digital ID because too much illegal migrants are coming to the country, and you know, yeah. So them have to package it in a one way to make it look like say your safety is at risk. So we need to do this to protect your safety. Them always package it like that. Them use convenience to say, oh, if you do this, if you accept this, your digital ID, oh, your life are gonna be better. So even when you think about the legalities that surround this whole digital ID scheme, it may be very well unlawful and unconstitutional. So in Keir Starmer's, own tweet on X, our immigration system needs to be fair. That's why we are introducing digital ID. If you don't have it, you can't work here. Well, let me just rubbish the argument that by Keir Starmer say digital ID cannot prevent illegal migration of illegal immigrants enter your country. So that entire argument by Keir Starmer is farcical at best, insulting the British people intelligence at worst. Illegal migrants avoid all ports of entry for the most part. They avoid airports because you need a passport. So if you don't have a passport and a visa stamp in your passport, you automatically then deport you back to where you come from. Then we avoid ships because you need a passport. So listen to what Keir Starmer say for himself, his own words. So listen up.
For too many years, it's been too easy for people to come here, slip into the shadow economy, and remain here illegally. Because, frankly, we've been squeamish about saying things that are clearly true. It's not just that it's not compassionate left-wing politics to rely on labour that exploits foreign workers and undercuts fair wages, but the simple fact that every nation needs to have control over its borders.
Digital ID won't prevent that from happening. You can always pay illegal migrants in cash. So that shadow economy where the British Prime Minister talk about will always remain underground. And for the business people them that are less tax what them have to pay the government. You understand? Alright, Jamaicans, remember when Haitians them are come here, they avoid all of the ports because you need a passport. So then come on the sea and land on the beach in a Jamaica. Digital ID cannot prevent Haitians coming to Jamaica via that route. So Keir Starmer argument don't make no sense. If anything, it would drive it underground. Now, continue listening.
We do need to know who is in our country. Our immigration system does need to be fair if we want to maintain that binding contract that our politics is built on. Otherwise, it undermines trust, undermines people's faith that we're on their side, and their belief that the state can and will work for them. And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID.
Patriotic comrades, ladies and gentlemen, this is the sound of an authoritarian, someone who is trying to take control of people's lives who lives in the UK. Listen to Keir Starmer tone. You realize all of them have the same dictatorship tone and arrogance when them attack, from Holness to Keir Starmer to even when Justin Trudeau did in a power. Trump them, all of them under this same dictatorship, one world government program. Remember, I said the digital ID is connected to the cashless grid as well, you know. Cause remember they want to go cashless, you know, so they can lock off your money if you not do what they say. Example again, if I did in at the time of COVID, where most Jamaicans, at least maybe 75% of Jamaicans never take the substance in their body. Had it been back then and a digital ID system was in place, everybody would have to take it, or else you get locked out of society permanently until you take it. But the elites will control your favorite prime ministers and presidents. Them decide to, hey, people have too much choice and they have too much freedom and we need to fully control them, and the best way to control them is we need them under a dictatorship. Democracy now work out. You see me? Democracy give the peasants too much free will, too much free reign, and we need to have them fully subdued in our submissive state. But this is a very interesting letter, and it's actually growing in momentum in England. As I said, people already come out on a protest. They have one petition where already gone probably over 2 million by now, where British citizens are signed, much less opposing this digital ID. So if you live in our country where white people live, you don't have nothing to worry about, because white people are going to always oppose anything that look like enslavement, anything we are going to infringe on their rights. White people are going to always oppose it. In a country like Jamaica, you can't really depend on Jamaican to stand up for anything. In most cases, if the MP not put the battery in them back and say go protest, they not protest. They not protest for themselves, much less. They not protest for their own rights, much less. So in Jamaica, something like this more easier to pass. But we have a strong opposition in the PNP and Marky G. So we know say Marky G and the PNP them will push back on this, cause them been a push back on this. So this is a letter where you'd ask your MP to sign. But me not tell you no, if you go harass on an MP with a letter like this. So as me say, don't worry because this is not likely to happen, but do worry because it is very much likely to happen if you no do nothing as citizens, if you no push back as Jamaican citizens. Don't allow your constitutional rights to be infringed upon or be trampled on by any wannabe dictator or any politician. And more importantly, no man, no legislation cannot give you your human rights. Your rights is ordained and given to you by God from your born. You have a divine right by the Creator himself. So legislations are just frameworks where politicians put in place to try to create a social construct of rules and laws for try have what them would call a civilized society. But when you really strip it down, nothing is civilized about the mindset of your favorite politicians and how they go about things and how they act. The reason why this would require primary legislation is because there is no law that supports or mandate this, that support or even mandate this. There is absolutely no law that can enforce this. To just now bring in a blanket requirement that says all adults must accept this. There just isn't any law in effect to support this. So as I said, they will need new laws, new legislation, in Parliament in order to enact this. So as a Jamaican citizen, you will have to urge your MP to stand against this. So the whole constituency would have to say, if you as a MP want to get re-elected in the next elections, then you have to oppose this. That is your true power as citizens, as constituents. Exercise your power. But the alarming thing will be if there is a tidal wave of support from the Jamaica Labour Party to pass this or push this through. This is where your JLP MP you have to make you know say do not support this. Make sure say you stand against this if you want to get re-elected. So you as Jamaican citizens, JLP voters and supporters of the Jamaica Labour Party, you have the most crucial and most important role to play in all of this. This don't have nothing to do with JLP or PMP. This have everything to do with your individual rights as a Jamaican citizen. This have everything to do with a make or break situation. Will you choose to be enslaved and your grandpicnic, your great grandpicnic down the line will be forever enslaved under a digital system where anything where government say they have to do modern day slavery all over again? So the JLP supporters and voters, you have to hold on the MP to account and make you know, say hold them accountable and make you know, say yo, make sure you stand against this when Holness bring it in a parliament. Make sure say you oppose this NIDS Digital ID bill, because this is what the Jamaicans and the JLP supporters them should have do for a morning. We not talk about third term or equal dictatorship and destruction on the citizens of Jamaica and on Jamaica. So, patriotic comrades, there are a significant number of reasons to be concerned about this NIDS Digital ID card, where the Holness administration are try roll out and force on us, the Jamaicans. So, I would urge you to hold your MPs accountable, because the way how laws is made and set up under this Westminster parliamentary system where we get from the said England. So the way how law is made and repealed in parliament is by your MP. So whether the law gets passed into legislation or it get blocked by your MP, it all depends on your MPs who want to vote for. And your MP supposed to represent you in parliament and what you want in parliament. That is the job of your MP in work for you. Without your vote, you can't go in a parliament. You cannot be a member of parliament without your vote. And you never vote, mean if you go in a parliament, go support bills and legislation that goes against your constitutional rights. Wonder if you don't get it. I know my patriotic comrades them get it. So ultimately the idea is that your MP represents you in parliament. Them not supposed to just only represent them party. Although ever so often, and this is one I think when I hate about politics, if them oppose the party or the party leader or oppose a policy by them party, so often they will get fired and kicked out of the party. Hence, everything always come full circle, you know. Hence, you see, Holness make all of them sign the undated resignations, meaning you have to support everything when bringing a parliament, no matter how egregious it may be. Is either you support his bill and a new legislation, or you will be kicked out of parliament because he make you sign the undated resignations. You don't get it now? Don't make you go over on ahead. So more than likely, your MP are going to vote in favor of the party policy and against and not in favor of the views and wishes of their constituencies. So that is why you as the citizen, the moment your MP now do what you say, you vote him out of power. It's that simple. Or in a support where you want or what you in alignment with, you vote him out come next election. Look how easy and simple that is. Go vote for the other party. So if you're a Labourite, you vote for the PMP MP. That is how you hold government accountable. That is how you teach them a lesson. Make them know say, hey, you run things. But because they hide your power from you, they don't make you know how truly powerful you be. Notice come every election time, you see them come around and I beg you to vote and them a campaign and them a spend how much millions and billions to try convince you to vote for them. That's how powerful you are. Remember, you know, they are civil servants. They're there to serve the civilian population. I never seen a servant tell their master, which is us, the civilian population, what to do. And you're supposed to serve the population in their best interest at all times. So you as constituency have to tell your MP what you want, or else next time around we're gonna vote you out. So if by some miraculous reason the JLP happen to successfully push this through Parliament and get it passed, now this is where we expect Marky G and the PMP supposed to stand 10 toes down opposing this like they have been from the jump, because the PMP opposed this NIDS bill in court and won when them did come with this whole intrusive of privacy. So me expect the PMP to still maintain pressure, because we see the PMP did take Holness to court and get the ruling as unconstitutional with things where they did in this whole NIDS digital ID thing. But even though we see the unconstitutional things get struck out by the court, we see the man still, we see Holness still a push forward with this NIDS bill. So we just, Marky G, maintain pressure, maintain suppressive political fire upon the Holness administration. Because we don't see what time these people and their allies all over the world in other countries like England, America and Canada would end up on already. So Marky G and the PMP, please still maintain and stand firmly against this whole NIDS thing, this digital ID. Make Jamaica say, you are not this Holness administration, you do not support this ID in no way, shape or form. It's a resounding no by the PNP when it comes to this NIDS digital ID. So we don't want this NIDS to be passed. You see me? Yes, we know upon that.